12:15. We can start. Hannah, are you ready?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll just remind
Absolutely.
you folks, if you like, you can switch to speaker view by clicking in the top right corner of the view button and then speaker. And Hannah, I think I've made you a
There.
co-host and pinned you as well, so at least
Yeah.
we'll be able to see you one way or another. So you're welcome to
Perfect.
go at your convenience.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for having me here, Colin and Nazma. Thank you for bringing me in. Um, I I love talking about pottery and I love doing pottery. I have a little studio in Hillier, Prince Edward County, that I just opened. And I started in pottery when I was actually 14 and I just turned 31. And I started from two lovely older hippies down the street. And in high school, they need you to do community hours, community outreach. And I started just helping out by cleaning their studio. And then over the years, over all the summers, they taught me more and more about their craft. And now, a couple years later, I have my own studio. So, if we talk about passing down knowledge, like passing down heirlooms, it's really, really important because I did not go to school at all for pottery. It is 100% apprentice mentor taught. I actually lived with them for 4 years on their property, watching the kilns and doing workshops and everything. So I'm very, very grateful of multi-generational shift and exchange of information. I'm very, very pro that. And so I thought I would show you a couple of things that I do. So I do a bunch of workshops where we make different pieces. And what I really like to focus on in pottery is the process. So anyone who does woodworking or gardening or sewing, like Julie mentioned the Afghan that she's doing, it's really important to keep your hands busy for dexterity and for meditation as well. Life is really crazy right now, and we can get really busy, stuck in all the things we have to do. But sometimes we forget about the things that we get to do and the things that we are naturally drawn to do just as humans, working in community and working together. So when I do workshops, I like people to work with the raw clay and build something that's not only an item, but it also turns into a memory or an heirloom that can be passed on. And even if it ends up in Goodwill or it ends up being given to someone else, it's still the story that your hands alone have made. And it's just really, really a beautiful thing. And so I have a couple examples to show. So
Wow.
this is one of my top sellers, and I call them my little joy vases. So I started making these in the height of pandemic when everything was really shut down, and I was very depressed, as many people were. And my mentor at the time said, just go play with clay. Just get your head out of the clouds, get your head out of the news, and just play. And what I ended up with, I just grabbed a hunk of clay, a little ball of clay, and I just started playing with it in my hands. And naturally, what happened was I started making these little vases, and I gave them to friends and family that were going through a tough time to, focus on the little things. Go for a walk. These are just weeds. Oops, there it is. Go for a walk and pick some flowers, touch grass. So you just take a little ball of clay here. I'll just show you through. Oh, forgive me. That's a hunk of clay. I split it in two. I hollow out the center so that they can be stuck together so it forms a bit of an air pocket. And then it goes from being kind of a line there that I smooth and I close in, and it's roughly the shape of a vase. And then I clean it up and pop a hole in it, and then it's fired twice, and then it turns into this little guy. So that's like one hand,
Oops. We
but there
lost
are
Hannah.
also other ways of building clay. My mentors taught me hand building. So a lot of people think pottery and they think Ghost with Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze. We love them. And throwing on the wheel is,
Hold on, Hannah. You're breaking up. You're breaking
oh
up.
no.
Yeah. You might have to move over in your living room or something.
Oh,
We're just hearing a little static when you speak, Hannah.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of static.
Yeah.
Okay. Has it calmed down a little bit or is it still?
Still there. Still there.
Still there. Okay. Well, forgive me, folks. We're going on a journey.
Good now.
Yeah, is it good now?
Yeah, it's better. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Thanks for bearing with me.
No
Thank
worries.
you, Hannah.
Oh, what happened? You are completely gone.
Oh, you just froze there. I think this must be a symptom of the internet in rural Prince Edward County. Uh-oh.
Hello?
No, can't hear you.
There
Okay.
you are.
Can you folks hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
You're back, Hannah.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's okay.
Old houses, just full of tin. So another way of building is I use molds, so not throwing on the wheel. So think if anyone has baked, you have a big piece of dough. So I lay it on top of this, right? And then it turns into a bowl. And I lay it on top of this, and it actually turns into, forgive me. So this is one of my top sellers, and it's actually a new design, and it's a dip bowl, right? So you have this big space in here, and then you have this little dip here for hummus and crackers, chips and dip, soup and sandwiches. Give me fighting with the camera here. So by working with two different pieces, I can actually make the dip bowl. So it's one thing that I really enjoy about playing with clay is that I associate it more with like almost woodworking, the way that you can bind two pieces together. And I think it's really exciting that way because each piece takes a little bit of time. And with hand building, everything takes a bit longer, but it's a lot more rewarding in the long run, right? Out of curiosity, has anyone ever played with clay before or any other artistic medium like that?
Yeah.
Not since
Yeah.
public school.
Not since public school.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm always jealous of folks who say that they played with clay throughout high school because I never got to. Mind you, I did have a pottery studio at my disposal.
Hmm.
But I think it's really important if anyone has a pottery studio or an art studio around them to reach out and take a class because you're never ever too old to take a class. I do workshops and I have kids from 3 years old to I think 87 was the oldest person that came to a workshop. And it's really fun because you can bring a friend or your family or just go solo. Artists are really friendly creatures, you know? And it's a good way to kind of get out of your head and also join with the community because as we know, the arts are really ingrained in the community and they kind of have a pulse of what's going on. And I think if you reach out to some of these different pottery studios specifically, because I'm a little biased, reach out and see if there's a class that you can take or pottery painting or something. Because even just getting out of your house for an afternoon, meeting up with friends instead of going for coffee somewhere, do a pottery workshop or do an art workshop. There's macrame as well. There's so many different things. How long will it take to learn pottery? Are there places close to Scarborough? Learning pottery is a process. It's kind of like how long would it learn to play the violin? It's a process, but there's always an entry level that I'm sure pottery studios in Scarborough would allow you to access. They have starter classes. I don't know any specific ones. I can Google that and send the information to Nazma to pass on. But if you Google pottery in Scarborough, chances are something's going to pop up for you to look into. And they're very accessible classes. Pardon me.
You do
Are there-
a lot of painting on top of your stuff, like it's just not plain. Like, so what do
Yeah.
you use in order to paint different things, like on a vase to make it more decorative? What do you use?
Yeah. So there are really accessible things that you can go to Michael's or other art supply stores and you can paint on pottery. There are air dry kits if you want to get those yourself. It's a different process, but it's the same building aspect. So there are different pottery kits. When I paint on my pottery, it's with underglaze, which is not a regular paint. It's a specialized underglaze for pottery, and then you put an overglaze on top. But there are different studios that you can go to just paint on clay, and it's pretty accessible, and you get to go home with a really nice piece. So many different aspects of pottery for sure. But yeah, and would anyone take a pottery workshop if they were interested? Would you prefer to paint clay or would you prefer to work with the raw clay? Personally, I'm biased and I like working with the raw clay because you get to be a kid again. You get to play with mud in a accessible fashion, you know? You're allowed to get messy and get your hands messy. And I think we don't do enough of that these days. We want to keep our hands clean and not mess up our outfits. But I think it's important to get messy, to touch earth again and be a kid. My classes are very focused on play, and everyone from ages 3 to 300 need to learn how to play again and just kind of let go of all their thoughts and just be in the moment. It's very therapeutic, of course. But I also want to thank everyone for taking their time out to come and listen to me babble on about my passion of clay. And I also want to mention that Nazma told me about a door prize for an upcoming event. And this bowl actually would be available as a door prize for a lucky person if you are interested. And that way you'll get to feel the piece yourself. And feel in pottery is very important. If you ever are at a market or a studio and someone tells you not to touch, that's one way of pottery, but it is very tactile. And you want to make sure that a piece that you're using, that you're going to work throughout all the day, fill with food, is going to be nice and sturdy. So that's why I like to make very functional works, of course.
And your work is safe for microwave, dishwasher, because I will show you the thing that you have made for me, the fruit tray. So, and we use the mugs.
Yeah, they're all dishwasher, microwave, oven safe. I like to make stuff that's going to function and live with you for a long time. I don't like to worry about my pottery. I like to live with it. And I think that's really sums up the aspect of me working with clay is I want to work with it. I want it to work with me. And I just want to have fun and create some beautiful items for the home, for myself, and for others, of course. Where do you hold your classes? Right now, I'm holding classes in my studio in Hillier, Prince Edward County. So if you're ever coming out this way for holidays, please contact me. I would love to do a workshop with you. So anytime, Prince Edward County, it's a great touristy area. 8-week course at Gardner Museum in Toronto. It was a beginner hand building and wheel throwing course. It included glazing. I would recommend the course if you want a good introduction. Took lots of pieces home at the end of the session. Yes, the Gardner does amazing workshops in Toronto. I highly recommend them. I know many friends who have gone there and many other potters as well because it's a good networking opportunity. So yeah, the Gardner Museum, 100% go there. Their museum is beautiful as well. Yeah.
Am I right? That's across the street from the Royal Ontario Museum downtown?
Yes, it is. Or right near. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you again for everyone having me here. Nazma and Colin, thank you so much. Anytime you need me to talk about pottery, I'm always here for you guys.
Thank you, Hannah, for taking the time to speak to us. We really appreciate it. Folks, in the Zoom meeting information we sent out, we had a link to Hannah's website. Hannah, I know there's more information about some of the products you make there. Are you receptive to questions via the contacts on your website?
Absolutely. My website, you can send me a question there. I have a couple different question boxes. So if you're ever curious about something or just want to ask me a random question, I'm always there for you, of course.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And
thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions?
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Always great to hear someone talk about their passion and open up new ideas for us to consider. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and go get your hands messy with some clay, okay, folks?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hannah.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you everyone for joining today. We really appreciate it. Hope we found both segments interesting. I'll remind folks our next event is the luncheon in May.